Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever skipped eating something you loved because someone once told you it was bad for your heart? I have, and for me, it was eggs. I grew up eating eggs almost every day. Fried, scrambled, boiled, you name it. But once I hit my 50s, the message from doctors was loud and clear. Cholesterol clogs your arteries. Eggs are full of cholesterol. Stay away. So I did, for years. But the truth? The science behind cholesterol in eggs isn't as black and white as we were told. See? Your body actually produces most of the cholesterol in your blood. That's right, your liver makes it, whether or not you eat any. In fact, about 75% of your cholesterol comes from inside your body, not your breakfast plate. And here's the kicker. When you eat more cholesterol, like from eggs, your liver tends to make less. And when you eat less, your liver makes more non-ice to keep things balanced. It's like a built-in thermostat. So does eating an egg spike your cholesterol numbers? For most people, the answer is no. There are some exceptions. Of course, so-called hyper-responders, but they're the minority. And even then, eggs tend to raise both the good cholesterol HDL and the large or fluffy particles of LDL, which are considered less dangerous. Now, let me tell you about Harold. Harold's 70 years old now, a retired school principal, the kind of guy who wore suspenders before they were fashionable again. He gave up eggs in the late 90s after his doctor told him to watch the cholesterol. So for over 20 years, Harold refused even a bite of quiche at family brunches. Then, just last year, he met with a new dietitian after a routine blood panel. The dietitian looked at his numbers, asked about his eating habits, and said, "You might be better off adding eggs back in. One a day won't hurt you, and it could actually help." Harold was floored. He told me, "Frank, all this time I thought I was protecting my heart, but I might have been starving my brain." Now, he enjoys one soft-boiled egg every morning with whole grain toast and a cup of chamomile tea. And you know what? He says he feels steadier, clearer, a little more himself. Stories like Harold's are why I speak up, because so many of us gave up foods we loved, based on information that turned out to be outdated. So let me ask you this. Hey, have you ever cut out a favorite food, only to find out later that maybe you didn't need to? Maybe you stopped eating butter, or red meat, or eggs like I did. If that's you, comment below and write, "Toi tung nhuve." I'd love to hear what food you've made peace with again. And in the next part, we're going to talk about boiled eggs specifically, why they're often seen as the healthiest version, but how they can still pose some risks if you're not careful. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Now here's the thing, when most of us think healthy breakfast, the first thing that comes to mind is a good old one-boiled egg. Simple, clean, no frying pan, no oil, no mess. And especially as we get older, it just feels like the smart choice, doesn't it? But here's a little surprise. Boiled eggs aren't always as safe as we think. Let me explain. On the bright side, boiled eggs really do have a lot going for them. They're easy to digest, especially when the yolk is still soft. They're low in saturated fat compared to fried eggs. And they help you start the day with a solid dose of our protein, vitamin D, and B vitamins, all in just 70 calories. I mean, for seniors like us who don't always feel like cooking in the morning, what could be better than a pre-boiled egg from the fridge, sliced onto some toast? But, and this is a big but, there are a couple of hidden risks most people don't talk about. First, if you boil your eggs too long and the yolk turns greenish-gray, that's not just ugly, it's a sign of a chemical reaction. When the moss sulfur in the egg white reacts with the iron in the yolk, it forms hydrogen sulfide, a gas that, in large amounts, can irritate your digestive tract. Now, we're not talking poison here, but if you already have a sensitive gut, or if you deal with acid reflux or bloating, it could make things worse. Icterus second. And more important, how long are your eggs sitting around before you eat them? Let me tell you about Mrs. June. She's 78, lives down the street from me, and is known for her signature egg salad. Every Sunday, she boils a dozen eggs, chops them up with some celery, mayo, and a bit of mustard, and keeps it in the fridge for the week. Well, one Thursday morning, she calls me up and says, "Frank, I don't feel right." She had chills, nausea, and was just plain wiped out. Turns out, she'd been snacking on that same batch of egg salad since Monday. 4 days in, even in the fridge, bacteria had started to grow, especially in the mayo. Her doctor said it was likely a mild salmonella infection. Now she's fine, but it gave her and me a good wake-up call. Wahanin, boiled eggs should be eaten within 3 to 4 days if refrigerated. And if you leave them out at room temperature for more than 2 hours, toss them. Don't risk it. It's easy to forget this stuff. We're taught to save food, not waste it. But as we age, our immune systems just aren't what they used to be. A foodborne illness that might have barely made us queasy in our 30s can hit much harder at 70 or 80. So how do I handle it? These days, I boil in only what I'll eat within 2 days. And I never let boiled eggs sit out on the counter. If I make egg salad, it's eaten that day, no exceptions. Now I'm curious, how do you usually eat your boiled eggs? Do you store them in the fridge for days like June did? Do you have a trick to keeping them fresh longer? Comment below and let me know. You might just share something that helps someone else stay safe. In the next section, we're going to dive into the biggest question of them all. Can seniors with high cholesterol safely eat boiled eggs, or should they still avoid them? Stick with me, you'll want to hear this. Let me tell you, nothing's more confusing than hearing two doctors give you opposite advice. I had one doctor back in 2005 point at my cholesterol numbers and say, "Frank, you need to stop eating eggs, period. No wiggle room, no discussion, just stop." Then a few years ago, a younger doctor reviewed my latest labs and said the exact opposite. "Frank, I think you should start eating 1 egg a day. It could help." I sat there blinking, thinking, wait a minute, so who's right? Turns out they both were, sort of. Here's what I learned, and I'll break it down as simply as I can. There are 102 main types of cholesterol mashush in your blood. First is LDL, often called the bad cholesterol. It can stick to your artery walls and build up plaque, especially if it's small and dense. Then there's HDL, the good cholesterol. It helps you want to remove LDL from your bloodstream and carry it back to the liver for disposal. Think of HDL as the cleanup crew. Now here's where eggs come in. Yes, they do contain cholesterol, but studies show that in most people, eating eggs actually raises HDL1, the good kind, and doesn't significantly raise LDL. In fact, in some people, it can change LDL particles from small and dense, the dangerous type, to large and fluffy, which are far less likely to cause artery problems. That's the part they didn't explain to us back in the 90s when cholesterol fear was at its peak. Now, of course, if you already have health conditions like diabetes, heart disease, or very high LDL-E, you should talk to your doctor. But for most older adults who are otherwise stable, 1 boiled egg a day is generally considered safe and often beneficial. Let me tell you about Ray. Ray is 81 years old, retired mailman, lives 2 streets over from me. Back in the day, he used to skip breakfast altogether. Just coffee, straight black, and out the door. But when he started feeling sluggish and foggy in the mornings, his daughter convinced him to see a nutritionist. That's when they told him, start small. Try eating 1 boiled egg with your morning coffee. He wasn't sure. He worried about his cholesterol. But after just a few weeks, Ray said, I felt more clear-headed. My hands didn't shake as much, and I didn't crash mid-morning anymore. His follow-up blood work? Still in the safe range. HDL went up slightly. LDL unchanged. Now it's his daily ritual. 1 boiled egg, 1 slice of whole grain toast, and a fresh orange. Simple, consistent, balanced. And you know what? He told me, I feel like I'm feeding my brain, not just my belly. That stuck with me. So, if you've been avoiding eggs because of old advice, maybe it's time to revisit the conversation with your doctor, with your dietitian, and with yourself. Because sometimes, food that was once feared ends up being the missing piece your body actually needed. Now let me ask you, have you ever argued with your doctor or even yourself about eggs and cholesterol? Drop a quick comment with the number. If you've ever felt stuck between conflicting advice. Coming up next, we'll look beyond cholesterol and talk about what's inside that little boiled egg that's actually good for your brain, your eyes, and even your bones. And I think you'll be surprised at what a tiny yolk can do. Let me share a little secret I wish I'd learned earlier. A boiled egg can be one of the most powerful vitamin pills nature ever gave us, if we eat it right. I know that sounds dramatic, but stick with me. Most people think of boiled eggs as basic protein, maybe some cholesterol, and that's about it. But here's the truth. Inside that tiny oval is a cocktail of nutrients that directly support the things we care about most as we get older. Memory, eyesight, bone strength, and nerve function. Let's start with your brain. Ever feel like your memory's getting a little foggy? You walk into a room and forget why you came in? Or blank on a familiar name? Well, eggs are rich in choline, a nutrient most people over 60 don't get enough of. Choline helps build a neurotransmitter called which is essential for memory, learning, and even mood regulation. One large egg gives you about 150 milligrams of choline. That's a solid chunk of your daily needs. Next, let's talk about your eyes. Inside the egg yolk, you'll find two antioxidants called lutein and zeaxanthin. These guys are your natural defense against macular degeneration, a leading cause of vision loss in seniors. They act like sunglasses inside your eyes, filtering harmful blue light and reducing oxidative damage. You won't get that from egg whites. You need the yolk, that golden center most folks were once told to avoid. Now for your bones and nerves, egg yolks are one of the few natural food sources of vitamin D, crucial for calcium absorption and bone health. And they're also packed with vitamin B12, which keeps your nerve cells healthy and your energy levels up. So instead of thinking of a boiled egg as just an egg, try thinking of it as a multivitamin wrapped in a shell. Now, here's how I like to eat mine. One soft-boiled egg in the morning, sliced over a bowl of sautéed spinach and arugula with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil on top. Maybe a slice of whole grain toast on the side. If I'm feeling fancy, why the olive oil? Because many of the nutrients in eggs, like lutein and vitamin D, are one-fat soluble, meaning your body absorbs them better when eaten with a healthy fat. Olive oil does the job perfectly, and it's great for your heart, too. And eating this combo in the morning helps me stay full longer and keeps my blood sugar stable, which, at my age, is half the battle. It's simple, it's satisfying, and I feel good knowing I've done something kind for my body before the day even starts. Now let me ask you, do you have a favorite way to eat boiled eggs? Maybe with avocado, in a salad, or sliced on top of oatmeal? Yes, some folks do that. I'd love to hear your go-to breakfast with eggs. Drop it in the comments. Your recipe might just become my new favorite. And in the next part, we'll talk about something a little deeper. How building a simple habit around eggs each day can do more than support your health. It can become a ritual that grounds your day and reminds you that caring for yourself is still worth the effort. That's coming up next. There's something kind of beautiful about routine. A quiet cup of coffee at the same time every morning. The creak of the same chair on the porch. The familiar rhythm of peeling a warm boiled egg while the sun comes up. Because here's what I've learned. Single egg isn't just food. It can be a reminder that you're still showing up for yourself, that you still matter. And for many of us over 60, especially those living alone or dealing with health challenges, that reminder is more powerful than we realize. You see, breakfast isn't just about calories or nutrients. It's about a momentum. When you start your day with something nourishing, simple, and consistent, it sets a tone for the rest of the day. And boiled eggs? They're the perfect candidate. They're quick, they're affordable, and they carry enough protein to maintain muscle, which is so important as we age. They provide choline oil for the brain to help you stay sharp. And they offer vitamin D and B12 to support your nerves, your bones, and your mood. Now, let me tell you about Walter. Walter's 84, retired park ranger, lives alone in a quiet house with a big front yard. He still mows himself. About 10 years ago, after a health scare, his doctor gave him one piece of advice. Eat something with protein every morning, no skipping breakfast. So Walter started boiling a few eggs every Sunday night. Each morning, he'd slice one onto a plate with some berries and toast. No bells and whistles, just one egg, one act of self-respect. When I asked him why he stuck with it, he said something that hit me hard. Because I've never had a sluggish morning since, and I know, for those first 10 minutes of the day, I'm doing something right. Isn't that what we all want? Not perfection, not a miracle cure, just to feel like we're doing one thing that moves us towards strength, clarity, and peace. So here's my suggestion to you. If you haven't already, turn your boiled egg into a ritual. Make it part of a breakfast you enjoy, whether it's with avocado, toast, fruit, or just a quiet moment by the window. Because the truth is, a small, loving habit practiced every morning does more for your health than any expensive supplement or trendy diet ever will. Now I want to hear from you. How many do you have a morning habit that makes you feel alive, steady, or just plain happy? Maybe it's a walk, maybe it's prayer, or maybe, like Walter, it's something as simple as an egg and a bit of silence. Share your story in the comments. You never know who you might inspire, and when we come back in just a moment, I'll wrap everything up for you with the 3 biggest takeaways, plus a little bonus tip that might change how you make your next breakfast. All right, my friend, if you've stuck with me this far, I want to thank you. We've cracked open a lot more than just eggs today. We've cracked open old beliefs, new understandings, and maybe even a little curiosity inside you. So, before we part ways, let's bring it all home with 3 simple truths. First, boiled eggs aren't bad, not when they're eaten the right way, at the right time, and stored with care. In fact, they're one of the gentlest, most nourishing foods you can add to your breakfast plate. Second, cholesterol is not the villain we once thought. Yes, it's something to be mindful of, especially if you've got heart disease or diabetes. But for most of us, the cholesterol in eggs doesn't dramatically impact the cholesterol in our blood. Moderation and balance matter far more. And third, 1 boiled egg a day can be a smart, steady choice for seniors. It's not just about protein, it's about memory, eyesight, energy, even mood. It's about showing up for your body with something that says you're worth taking care of. Now, I know it sounds simple, maybe even too simple, but that's the beauty of it. With a boiled egg is a small thing, but it can become a powerful habit. A reminder, every morning, that you're still here, still feeding your body, still choosing life and health, one quiet breakfast at a time. So let me leave you with this. Eggs are more than just food. For many seniors, they are a gentle reminder. Every day is a new opportunity to live well. If this episode gave you something to think about, maybe a new perspective, or just a little encouragement, do me a favor. Leave a comment and tell me how you eat your eggs. Scrambled, boiled, with salsa, with spinach? I'd love to hear your favorite style. And who knows, I might just try it and give you a shout out in the next episode. And speaking of next time, in our upcoming video, I'll be sharing 3 common foods people mix with oatmeal that could be harming their health after 60. Trust me, the second one might just surprise you. So be sure to follow, leave a comment, and take care of yourself until we talk again. You deserve to feel good every single morning.